What you're looking at right now is the block of the KZ650. It's upside down. This is the number 1 cylinder, or the most left cylinder of the bike facing forward. So we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. These little black plugs that you see right here are sound dampeners, and they actually fit down into their 6 holes. You can see I put a mark around it here, so I know where they go, and these actually drop down into these holes. They fit down in between the cylinders and act as a dampener, sound dampener for resonation. I popped them out when I cleaned the cylinder all up, and now I'm going to put them back in, and I'm going to just use a dab of this liquid gasket. This is typically used for case assembly on many Japanese motorcycles because they don't use gaskets between the case halves. That is the transmission case or the base case. They're machined very closely, and then this is used. It's really a non-hardening. It's quite soft still. I've had this tube for quite a long time now. I've used it for I don't know how many engines. So I'll use just a dab of this on each one of these black rubber plugs, and then I'll drop them and force them down with a screwdriver or some other tool into the bottom of the cylinder as it's sitting here. It actually would be the top in use. These are also a black rubber item. I was not able to locate new ones of these from Kawasaki or NOS, and since it's not really a critical item, I'm not going to be concerned about it. So you can see here I've marked each of the holes that these dampeners go into. The base gasket, this is the base gasket right here. It is directional, and that is it's not symmetrical. If I was to reverse it like this, it wouldn't fit proper. This is obviously the bottom side, but it fits something like this. Is how it will go on the engine. And then these black rubber plugs, sound dampeners, will already be mounted. So I'm going to go ahead and put one of those in place right now. There's really no need to overdo the adhesive. All you really need is just a little bit of it. You'll notice it's going to be quite stringy. That's very typical. You just need a little bit on each one of these. And a little bit goes a long way, as you can see here. Now I'll take a screwdriver and just push that to the bottom, and then that adhesive will, with this gasket material, will hold it in place. Again, it doesn't take a lot. No sense getting goofy with it and getting it all gooped up. I've opened up a lot of engines where people have used RTV and other sealants, which are excellent products. I have nothing against RTVs in any form or using them appropriately, but I've seen an awful lot of them that were gooped on so thickly that they actually ended up plugging up oil passages and orifices. People, I guess, think that using a little is good, using a lot is always better, and that is not the case in many of these kind of situations. So this one doesn't want to go all the way down. There we go. That one down, that one down, and that one down, and keep going now. I have to put these in, these dampers, obviously, before I do the base gasket or mount the engine, because the base gasket will block the access to the holes. Again, this product is also sold under other names like Yamabond through Yamaha. I think it's exactly the same component. I think Honda sells their version of it, Honda Bond or something to that effect. And I believe Kawasaki and Suzuki do too. The gasket, the base gasket, will fit, again, something like this. So I had to put those plugs in first because you can see the gasket partially covers the holes where the plugs go in. And that's why I put the black magic marker around those so I knew which holes were which and didn't get confused. The cylinders have already been honed. They were in very good condition. They had no ridges, marks, or damage of any kind. So I just took a simple 3-shoe hone with lubricant, ran them through, maybe 30-45 seconds each cylinder from both sides. Cleaned them up, just knocked the glaze off, and put a little bit of a cross hatch on. Was all I was really interested in doing in terms of honing, and they look really good. So next step will be to wipe it down really good again, just before the block gets dropped back on the pistons, and I settle it in place. I'll obviously lubricate the cylinders with assembly lube. I'll lubricate the pistons and get the rings oriented properly, 120 degrees apart. I'll go through that in more detail in a moment. And obviously I have to put the base gasket on. So that'll really be the next phase. A couple of other things. I did clean this block up with my Soda Blast unit that I bought recently. My intention was not to make it look like brand new, but to just basically clean it up. And I wanted the patina of the block to match the patina of the rest of the machine, so that it didn't look out of place. And the bead blast, or rather the Soda Blaster, did a really nice job, I think. This was dirty. It wasn't really oily. It was quite dirty though, from road grime and those kind of things. So I got it cleaned up. You notice I put a piece of corrugated underneath the block here. I typically do that if I have any oil or grease or anything that soaks through the shop towel that you see spread out here, that helps keep it contain and absorb it. So I almost always use an old piece of corrugated. That really concludes the block preparation. The next step will be final cleaning and getting it ready to mount on the engine itself.